Peace. What's going on, Brother Rich?
I'm doing good, man. I'm glad to have you on the program today. It's an important topic today, I think, Brother Panic. I was having a conversation with Minister. Can you hear me, Brother Panic?
Yes, I hear you, person.
Okay, cool. I was having a conversation with Minister Jew and Ample on the radio the other day, and we were talking about the age of Aquarius and how much people are getting into the intellectual aspect of of everything, of knowledge, of philosophy, of just pretty much all the esoteric studies, metaphysical studies, a lot of intellectualism going around, but I don't see a lot of heartfelt information going around. I don't hear a lot of people talking about the power or the importance of heart, because we always hear mind over matter, but we never hear how much the heart matters in comparison to the mind, because I was just reading the other day, Brother Panic, and they said the heart is actually the strongest generator of electrical and magnetic fields in the body. Now, this is very, very, very important. So I need you, Brother Panic, how can we get more into this heart aspect of things so we can become, better at doing what it is we want to do?
That's an excellent question and an excellent subject to deal with, and glad for the opportunity to speak on it from an esoteric standpoint. Now, the first thing I think we need to understand is the differences. As you pointed out, the differences in the brain and the differences in the heart are two different intelligences with two different agendas. And the key is which one is going to rule the other intelligences. And as you pointed out, the heart's energy field is massive. Some say you can, depending on the consciousness in the person, your field, the field of energy that your heart can generate could be up to 30 feet or longer. And this is because it is that powerful center, because it's a key, I guess you could say, we'll just say organ for now. It's a key organ within the body, and it's a key organ within the aspect of raising consciousness and consciousness. Now, as opposed to the brain and intelligence, that is the home of the ego. And the home of the ego is nothing more than just humanity. So, what we have is, as you pointed out, in this intellectual information age, and this abundance of information that now can be shared in the age of Aquarius, which is the age of information, you have people, fighting outside, you use intellect to run their heart chakra. Their intellect to run their heart chakra. And instead of the heart running your humanity is now running your definition of love. So our love that we're seeking still comes from the perspective of the ego. So it becomes this compassion for saving children, saving black people, but not liking white people, or not liking, and we're not talking about oppression and genocide, just regular white people walking in the street that don't know nothing. Because there's nobody's going to co-sign with genocide, oppression, racism, and all those other things that they buy into through white supremacy. We're not talking about that, because that's just anti any function of life. So we're talking about just cross-the-board idea. In other words, the same way Ku Klux Klan said everything black is just nigga this, mud nigga this, a whole philosophy all down the road just based upon one point. We do the same thing. And we base our love or hate or our emotions, which we say is from the heart, based upon intellect. We intellectually say he's from the cave, we don't love him, he's deficient, we don't love him. And we make these moves from there. Now, I'm not saying this is right or wrong, or you should live this way, you shouldn't live that way. But what I am saying from the esoteric standpoint, your intellect is running your heart, not your heart running your intellect. We can get this understanding of how to change this, or where the concept or where the choice lays before you when we deal with occult studies. See, here's my understanding in occult studies about the heart. You know that you have this concept of the crossroads. The folklore story is you meet the devil at the crossroads and sell him your soul. The old, I guess, African concept of it is there's a deity at the crossroads who stands at the crossroads called Legba. There's some mythology with it. Legba wears red and black. That's his colors. There's stories in mythology. You can go one way on this road, see a man with red, and you walk the other way, and this trickster figure, Legba, is wearing black. This crossroads, when you add the science to this mythology, or the science, or decode this esoteric understanding, is talking about the heart. The heart has the 4 pathways in it, those ventricles, whatever the fuck they call them, arterial and whatever. Those 4 pathways are the crossways, and it's symbolized by that red and black of a Legba. So when you're doing your chakra work, the 3 lower chakras represent your humanity, and this is where your humanity is developed. When you get to the heart chakra, because you can do this work, or as you go through life, each 7 years, you will be developing those chakras. So from age 1 to 7, root, sacral chakra from 7 to 14, from 14 to 21, the heart chakra. Now, in humanity, this lines up when we start making that decision of what we're going to give to the world. In other words, what we're going to do is our career. By the age 21 is when we start saying, hey, I want to be a butcher, a baker, or a candlestick maker, because that's lining up with the heart chakra. But in society, of course, they're keeping you on a human path. Now, in this heart chakra, if you were doing esoteric work or understanding esoteric work, and you got to this point where you were studying the chakras, you would understand that in the heart chakra is also called the place of the wounded child. This is also the entire story of Christ energy. Every Christ figure on the planet is talking about transformation in the heart chakra. So we're going to talk about the one everyone knows, Mr. No Such Thing as Jesus Christ.
Right.
Mr. No Such Thing as Jesus Christ is really just amalgamation of all Christ energies and Christ mythologies. This Christ figure is probably one of the most dominant on the planet because it is talking about the most dominant center in you. And I don't want to say the most dominant because we could talk about the pineal and so on and so forth, but your pineal is technically not going anywhere if the heart ain't right. But let's just say for now, because we don't get into specifics, the most dominant thing on the planet, your heart chakra, at least in this context. All these Christ energies are talking about a choice you make in your heart on the crossroads, your path. Now, red represents hell or the root chakra. Black represents the unknown or the esoteric. That's why Legba is red and black when you're making this choice. In the heart chakra, you have the choice to become, this is where you just start developing compassion, care for others, lose your selfishness, as opposed to what was happening in the 3 lower chakras. In the 3 lower chakras, this is about you. Your root chakra is pretty much developed when you come home from the hospital. You have your own crib, or you sleeping in the bed with your mom, in them. Was she breastfeeding you enough? Not too much. Were you fed well? Was your house warm? All of those basic survival things are usually developing your root chakra. By the sacral chakra is when you have a sense of self, pretty much. Your room. Remember when you was little, you always sat at the same place at the table. You had I had my Bugs Bunny plate, same
right.
fork. These things that said, those are my sister's shit, and those are my things. Now, in an undeveloped, or where it could become underdeveloped, or where you could have a problem in this area, and all the emotions that go along in the sacral chakra is when, let's just say, you remember niggas had to share milk with their brother, share the same bath water, share the same clothes, where your identity becomes suffering. Now, we know this is built in this family dynamic, usually 3 kids, the middle kid. The middle kid usually is after the older sister. She doesn't get the attention of the older one and doesn't get the attention of the younger one, the baby. So she usually has this problem in the sacral chakra. So that behavior that you always notice in the middle child, this need to be identified, is because in the sacral chakra it was built into their childhood. Now that you go on to, and I'm going through this quickly, you go through the solar chakra. This is where it's pretty much developing your social system. It happens after age 14 to about 21. So 14 is when you start feeling like you want to hang out with your friends without your mom's involvement. High school is pretty much starting. So this is where you find out, were you a nerd? Were you a bully? Were you the jock? Did you have all the new Nikes? Did you get the prom date? All of these things that's pretty much you're gonna walk in the world with. See, it tells you if you're gonna be aggressive in business or sweeping somebody's floor. That kind of thing can have an impact there. Now let's say you were a nerd. If you have a understimulated shock, you're gonna be that nerd, and you're gonna be probably gonna have a job to reflect as much, and some boss is gonna be bossing you around. But that same nerd, if whatever happens in his mind, whatever happens in his emotions, he can be really aggressive, be a business owner and a bully, let's just say in his business owner. In other words, that same chakra is now overstimulated for the same reason that other guys is understimulated, or the same why he's still a pushover. This guy could be extremely belligerent, having the same experience. Just this depends on circumstance. Now, that's all lower chakra. So this is now you're a person. This is you're every other human being. So we're trained. Now, here's where it gets so helpful. We're trained pretty much at this point not to deal with anything conscious. Let's pretend this timeline is right. It's really not right. That's why 42 is 7, 49? 7 times 7. So when you were 49, that's when they would start letting you in the mystery system. But you went through the whole chakra system. So they said they wouldn't even let you in until you were 40 and to your 50 gates and all the rest of these things is because 42 is when you were in the pineal, and from 42 to 49 is when you're in the crown. So they would start teaching you at this point because you were going through your entirety of your human phase. So you still was a spiritual guy by the time you got out the heart chakra of Christ, but you still had 21 more years to go before you would get in a mystery system. And I know them timelines could be off, but that's pretty much the concept. I'm just trying to lay down the concept. And so at the heart chakra here, we are taught, because we're not dealing with spirituality, we are not in mystery systems or have the ability to go to mystery systems. We're pretty much taught at 21 to start caring for others. Start caring for others. Now, here's the esoteric truth of that. This crossroads in your heart that you're in, represented by, and you know, a Legba has the hat, or the Just has the hat, which is red and black. I sent you a picture of that, so when we do the video, you're able to add that picture to the scheme so people can get a visualization of this. Here is also the heart is also called the place of the wounded child, because those attributes that Jesus has, compassion, forgiveness, you're actually supposed to have that and develop that in the heart for yourself, not for others. Or you can have the choice to do it for others, but then you're taking the red path, which actually brings you back to earth in your next lifetime. And I'm gonna break how that happens. The other path, the black path, is the path of the unknown, or the dark, the dark side, and all that. It just represents your walking into this path of spirit, let's just say. So in the heart, at this crossroad, you're going to have all of these attributes we found for hearts: love, compassion, patience, all of these things for either humanity or yourself and your spiritual transformation. So there's a spiritual compassion and a healing compassion, let's just say. So what I've noticed is without us knowing, because if to be conscious, that means you have actually activated your heart chakra just to be conscious. You've activated your heart chakra. Remember, the 3 chakras before that is all about your human plight. You're not yourself. That's why all these kids are selfish. It's all about me. They're all privileged, feel they're entitled and all these things now because they're not at the level of their heart chakra yet. When they get there, that's when you become conscious. And technically, what we don't know anymore from our study, here's where you make a choice, which I've said before and Bobby has said before. Are you dealing with humanity or spirituality? That's the choice you have once you're at the heart chakra and at the crossroad. Are you dealing with humanity or spirituality? What I've seen is 99.999% of people opening their mouth, talking with these titles and calling themselves whatever they're calling themselves, has made the choice of humanity, which, let me say clear, if that's your choice, nothing wrong. But then when you see a true spiritualist talking, I don't care about that. I'm not interested in that. It conflicts with what you doing, and you feel that his heart chakra is not open. My heart chakra operates on a different frequency. It's not the frequency of human compassion. It's compassion for the soul. Therefore, it's a whole different thing that anyone should be looking for as an occultist or a spiritualist. Now, as a humanist, you're going to find humanists saying things, I must do this for my people. We must save kids. We got to stop chemtrails. We can't feed our people this. Our people need to know. Our people need to know. In your very words, you are saying, I'm a humanist. And to say I'm a humanist, what you're developing your heart chakra is another path. Now, I call it, for me, well, I'm not even going to call it for me. It ain't about me. I'm going to say what that means as a humanist, you haven't developed in the chakra system, in the heart chakra, the path of spirituality and the path of transcendence. You're developing the path of human, which condemns yourself. You're not opening up the gateway to get beyond pretty much the astral world. So through the cycle of death, you're guaranteed to come back here because you chose the path of the red, which is the root chakra. That's what that symbolizes in the heart. So your heart chakra is open, but the path you're choosing, because this represents Jesus Christ when he's sitting on the mountain with Satan, in this temptation scene. This represents your heart chakra and the choice the Christ energy is making. So I can give you all the riches of the world. Because see, Jesus is already compassionate. He's already forgiving. He's already all of these things, these attributes that we know him for. So we're not talking about him doing something corrupt. He's just saying, you can do all of that, and I'll give you, in other words, stay here and fix the world. Stay here and talk about chemtrails. Stay here and talk about the sad state of kids and how to fix them. Stay here and talk about this food that's making us homos. Stay here and talk about what black people came from, where we used to be, what should happen. Now, all of these things could be talked about, but your emotional connection is where the heart comes in, tells you, what are you doing this for? What are you bringing it up for? When I'm bringing it up so I'm a scientist who studies. He said, Tammy, you can watch that. I'm like, no, I can study this shit all day. I don't have an emotional connection to it. I don't want this fixed so the babies could be better. I don't want this fixed so the old people can eat better. I don't want this fixed because of this one and of that one. No, I want it fixed because I want it to be a clear path for our consciousness for those to take the true path. But no one understands this esoteric knowledge. Once you do get to the heart chakra, you have actually making a choice to stay here with humans or the bodhisattvas. This is a hidden story. The bodhisattvas are pretty much just monks, they're not Buddhist, and I think they're Tibetan, if I'm sure, something like, yeah, they're Tibetan because they're somewhat. And anyway, their story, they meditate and go to all of these esoteric levels of transcendental meditation, and right before they're about to get absorbed by the universe, they look back, turn around, and out of compassion come back to planet Earth. And this is represented as now the goddess Kuan Yin. But what they're really saying is, once these guys, if they turn around, like this lady turned around and turned into a pile of salt, looking behind her, it's really bringing them back down to earth. So even though they are still angels, so the guy out on the street saying, we got to do this for the babies, he's not a bad guy, he's not lesser, he's an angel. But he made the choice to come back and use compassion for human purposes, or use his heart, that powerful center that we're talking about, to try to raise up humanity. So therefore, this condemns them to another cycle, because the idea is you're supposed to be using your heart as a vehicle to get out of here, like Jesus Christ said, well, I'm about my Father's business. He was saying, I'm using my heart, and that's why you have Jesus always pointing up. He said, I'm getting out of here, because I made the choice. So when you hear me saying, Bobby saying, certain others saying, nah, I ain't trying to fix no human, I ain't about that human short. Well, actually, better yet, when you hear thousands of other niggas saying it, but don't know what the fuck it means. I ain't about that human shit, you know what I'm saying? I ain't coming back no more. But if you have made, this is a particular light work, I'm not going to say light worker, but work of honing and directing light. So you're either directing light towards humanity, and you transforming humanity. And most people, sad enough, ain't even trying to they're trying to transform other fucking humanity. They're not even saying, well, my heart is open, now I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to try to do that. So I used to do that, but now I do that. They're telling you everything they should be doing to transform everybody else. And nobody's fucking doing it, if it'll never work. Now, this comes from in this idea, and I'm sure this is no lie, when somebody's like, well, I heard I was sleeping, something told me in my mind, wake up, son. It's time for you to save black people. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got to understand how the ego works and what the ego is. The ego, first and foremost, because we got to stop the ego. You cannot stop the ego until you die. When you are born, day one, you have an ego. The moment you cry for food is a representation for your ego. The more you crawl to the titty is a representation of the ego. The ego becomes more and more developed through fear. So the more you bumped your knee, the more your mother beat your ass, smacked your hands, the more you touched the stove and it got burned, the more you felt you had to hold on. The more fear. You're programming yourself. This is natural. You can't get away from it. And then eventually the intellect starts to build up. And then all I hear is a bunch of intellect dispersing these opinions, which forms the ego. There are so many paths to self-realization. In occult studies, there's no such thing as he's right or he's wrong. That doesn't even apply. Only thing that applies is your self-realization. And that self-realization is actually something when you make the dark choice in the heart, because then you decide to see. The first thing you're doing, you're not trying to enhance humanity. What you're trying to do is relieve yourself from humanity. So when you see me a little bit more coarse, or body like he's making these jokes, he's not taking this seriously, or you don't see all this, because we took that, and I don't want to just say the dark side of the path, but it's just, they're representing these colors as black and red. Now, or this crossroad, we took that path that says, as I pointed out, it's the place of the winged child, So the first thing you do, you have compassion for yourself. You know, I never really got the girl. You know, I'm not really that cute. My feet are crooked. My penis is small. I stink. You know, whatever you work your life off to either hide, be in fear of, or was ashamed of, you come to terms with that's you. But you're really saying, but it's only human. And that's where I forgive myself. I have compassion for all my flaws. Well, my mama did that. My father did that. Hey, but they're only human too. I forgive them. So that place of forgiveness, that place where the wounded child rests, is there. And once you forgive yourself, and once you forgive yourself and you're able to relieve yourself from humanity and stop blaming yourself and others and so on and so, he did that to me and all of this, that's the true way you start relieving yourself from humanity, and it's actually the true way you start to free yourself. So what you start dealing with in the upper chakras become free and clear. Now, if you don't deal with your lower self, the things you bring into the upper chakras, which are higher frequencies, you know, let's just say the throat chakra. The throat chakra is connected to the shoulders and hands because that represents the creativity that you're going to put in the world. So it represents you as giving now, where the sacral chakra represents your selfish creativity. So an example of that is like when you bring a nightgown home from your girl, and, you know, it's got all these whistles and bells on it, and it looks really creative, but at the end of the day, you did all of that so she could put it on for you to be happy. So it's your creativity that's selfish. The throat chakra is the creativity that you give to the world, but you're still going to bring that selfishness with you if you haven't dealt with the lower chakras. So now you're starting to create something to try to get paid all the motherfucking time. You get what I'm saying? I got to get this money. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm making this, the rap is from the throat chakra because it's so lower chakra money. I ain't never heard a nigga go, I'm just going to rap because I love rap. They're just trying to get their money. You know what I'm saying? So, and I listen closely. There's nothing wrong with that. We're just talking about the differences. Let me be clear. I'm not here to judge if this one's wrong, that one's higher, that one's lower, this one's better, that one's there. You only bring the straight science. I know what I do. Whatever you do, that's your choice. And you can always look at it this way. Maybe I'm dead wrong. But watch this concept of giving. So for instance, in the sacral chakra, you was persecuted. And this is a good example. You was a persecuted person and you haven't relieved yourself. You know, maybe I didn't stand up for myself enough. Maybe I'm not tough. Maybe I'm a sucker or whatever. Let that shit go. If you don't let that kind of go, and let's say now all of a sudden you're conscious because you listen to Bobby Hemmick lecture. So when you're doing spiritual work, which you will have in the action, because the ego will talk to you easily, but let's say you break through because you do have a pineal, you notice those people are like, yo, there's spirits in your house. You got to clean your house. Be careful. You need to do this. If you don't clean your house, the spirit is going to do this. There's evil spirits in here. They have this persecution now that has now transferred to spirits bothering them, or spirits always being evil, and they have to do so much to protect themselves from spirits. It's not evil, even the good ones. And if you don't do that, Oshun is going to be mad at you. Usually this is because, and I hear this all the time, they can't, because all of these spirits are nothing but energies. So this is their relationship with energies. And this is because they have a dysfunctional relationship because they're bringing a dysfunction that is guaranteed to come along with humanity. Guaranteed. So when that dysfunction transforms into spirituality, or says they didn't really do the true work in the heart chakra, so now their ego is telling them whatever. Your ego is always in survival mode. And we know, just from our teaching, there's nothing, when you're in survival mode in the body, the adrenaline amps up your kidneys. The kidneys are amped, the adrenals are over the kidneys, and adrenaline starts flowing. cortisone, I believe they say, is in your system. All of these chemicals, those you're thinking of balance, absolutely. And we are absolutely always in survival mode, just without bills. Just when we turn on our fucking YouTube and all that shit and hear us do nothing but complain about our sorry state. I never turn that shit on and hear niggas talking about nothing empowering. And I see them thinking that what's empowering is like, we get you on the stock markets and we can do all of this. It's not empowering. That's none of that's power. None of that tells you who you are, how to free yourself from nothing. All we're doing is arguing and bickering back and forth. And when you see the abundance of that, I remember somebody saying, yo, if you just look at economy, it's depressing. They're going to do that with the food. They're doing that with the chicken. They're doing that with the air. They're doing that with the pipe. They don't drink the water. Don't drink that. You can't, don't use toothpaste. Don't do that. It's all the things you can't do because we don't know what we can do because we haven't taken that unknown path. Most of us is taking that red path. The red represents earth and the root chakra. Red is represented as hell. So we're only getting more and more of what we think we're trying to get away from because we haven't walked that correct path. That's something that's deep in the chakra. Like I said, I teach it's in my book. My book, we're about to print, and I deal with the whole chakras, what this is, and I deal with this in my class about taking these paths and how to relieve yourself from your humanity, not just as a theory. You know what I'm saying? Because that's most of you hear. I ain't human. Panic ain't human no more. Panic ain't that's the human shit. But if I really ask, well, what does that mean? Nobody knows. Well, what it means is it's really true chakra work. And that chakra work, the key is in the heart chakra. You got to know. That's why decoding is the key. You got to know how to decode a lot of these different mythologies and what they're actually saying. Because understand, it's the mythology, it's folklore, and then there's our science, or the science. That we mask our science in mythology. So it's up to you to decode it back to the scientific level. And that scientific level is always, you want to eventually get it to the body. Because that's how it pertains to you. So, as above, so below. So they may be talking about the cosmos. But as above, so below. Now your job is to decode that piece of information to the body. So you can see what they're actually making a commentary on within inside of you. And it's quite simple. What they're making the commentary on all the time is your humanity versus your spirituality. And how to either enhance one or the other. But the choice, I'm telling you now, is made in the heart chakra. When you're dealing with your heart chakra work and whatever chakra book you read on how to relieve it and the energies are there, you have to understand. The key is you have to, once you enhance and do all there's herbs, there's aromatherapy and color therapy, which is either green or pink, and all these therapies, once you are focused on it and liking yourself to do the work, understand the relationship between the lower and higher self, and understand it. The key in the occult study, which I'm giving y'all a big nugget, that it takes a long time for people to get this understanding. It takes a lot of study for people to get this understanding.
Indeed.
No,
Indeed.
I look at it. It takes a lot for people to get to this understanding, and what I'm telling you is at that heart, you got to know the three lower chakras and their characteristics. Those characteristics are your entirety of humanity. Now, the upper chakras are also connected, and the heart chakra can be connected to your humanity, but they call your heart chakra also a part of the four devils, because your heart chakra is that gateway that can go the wrong way. That's where you meet the devil at the crossroads. And if you choose the devil's path, you did what? You sold your soul to do. And what does the devil usually do at the crossroads? He gives you a human skill.
Right.
Now you can play the guitar, you can do this. So basically, when you go him at the crossroads, what they're trying to tell you in this folklore is that no, you chose the path of earth, and you will have an earthly skill, and you will be admired for it. You're the best one at speaking lectures. You're the best one at the Zodiac. You're the best one at selling tapes. You're the best one who tells occult stories. You could be all of that, but really, you're not transforming. You are raising up your ego for people. Oh, yeah, Brother Perry, he's the greatest. Yeah, you know, because I study. I get my study on. It's like raising that kind of shit up is really, see, I know better than to fall into that, because that's selling your soul. Not to no physical devil, but that's taking, at the crossroads, making the choice. And what am I doing now with spirituality? I'm owning my soul. I'm moving away from this realm. All humanity is, come on, that, like, look, all humanity is, you cannot call yourself God and all the rest of that and then try to sell me on that humanity is the end game. Because all I see is a lot of eggs in one basket. You get what I'm saying? A lot of eggs in one basket. I said it before, I'll say it again. Ironically, the more I worked on my spirituality, the more my humanity actually followed suit. And I realized, like I said earlier, and when I let my heart lead it, which is the center of my spirituality, my Christos energy, the Christ factor lead this, all that other shit lines up. All that shit falls in line. So my intellect falls in line with my spirituality. And my intellect is what pays the bills. What makes me figure out how to make $1 out of 15 cents. But when I let my intellect try to make $1 out of 15 cents, everything else suffers, because my ego or intellect or brain is born as a fallacy out of my heart. A. Rashad is just talking about it. So when you're born in the womb, you're bald, and you turn into that lima bean shape before as a fetus. He said, well, actually your head is attached to your heart, and your brain is actually modeling itself off the heart chakra. Modeling itself off the heart chakra. So therefore your brain is actually a cheap rendition, or your ego is a cheap rendition of the heart chakra. Cheap rendition of the heart chakra. So because the illusion is that because it's at the top of our head, it's the thing that's running things, but it truly isn't.
Real quick, Brother Panic, why did the Egyptians take out, for those who want to know, why did the Egyptians take out, they say, the brain when somebody died and left the heart in the body? Why did they do that?
Because that's for the exact reasons we're talking about right now. They were trying to make the statement that the brain is worthless. They was trying to make the statement that the brain is worthless. It matters not. So just that statement alone says a lot within itself. Just that statement alone says a lot within itself. And and like I said, they just knew it was we didn't study this one. They knew it was the center of the ego. They knew it was worthless. They knew humanity wasn't real. And they knew humanity wasn't real. And they knew, and for them to do that, the heart was the consciousness center. And it was the consciousness center.
You know, in the last 10 years, probably since The Secret came out, everybody's been wanting to know how to tap into the powers of their mind. Everybody wants to know about the powers of the mind and how to manifest using their mind. One of the things that they said, I don't know if it was in The Secret or somewhere else, they said you don't attract what you want, you attract what you feel. So, in terms of our hearts and attracting what we feel, is it possible, do you think that by, just for example, black people, by us constantly watching television, watching these police brutality videos over and over and over and over again, mentally we may want things to change, But the fact that we feel the anger that we feel from watching that, and the emotional distress we feel from watching that, are we attracting more of the very thing that we don't want by continuing to be, like you said earlier, being emotionally attached to these things?
Well, that's a definite. But I would go forward when you say, like, you know, it's anger and change and Black Lives Matter. When I see it, that's not what I'm seeing. What I'm seeing is the real emotion, the real sinister thing, and that's just fear. Fear. When Trayvon Martin died, the national anthem was quite simply this: that can happen to my son. My son looks like that. And you heard that more than anything. Even Obama said that. So what is that really saying when you move away from it? It's saying, I'm scared that that can happen to my child. It's not really about Trayvon. He's the symbol. But I'm scared it can happen to my child. So these things are put out to invoke fear. And again, when fear is present, the cortisone, the adrenal gland, all that throws off the balance of your thinking. So that's what has the agenda. We're perpetrating, the occult. First of all these white people walking around here don't know shit. There's about 1% of them motherfuckers, if that many, who are conscious. The same way there's 1% of us who are conscious. So it's white conscious people who we really should be getting at. Every average day white person that walks up the street that you encounter, they are way dumber than anything I've ever seen. Engaging them is folly. You get what I'm saying? It's the 1% of conscious. So the 1% of conscious understands when attack comes how to address it. Here's the science. Cameras start getting more popular where people can have it. Somebody tapes Rodney King getting beat. Black people say, like they always say, it happens all the time. They just finally got it on tape because cameras wasn't around. So now this seems like this was a big score. And they still showed you they didn't convict them. But now the same concept, because black people are so stuck that they're so controlled in their intelligence instead of being able to guide themselves by any principle that's higher. Let's just say that now. And that's the heart. And relieving yourself from agenda. When you see, the answers come when you relieve yourself from an agenda. See, we got too many fucking agendas. The stimuli is all of those videos, and the ultimate or the on top reaction is, yeah, okay, you know, we're gonna be mad and we see it all the time. That's on top. But the real thing it does is distracts us from being able to be free to really come to deal with our true intelligence. We're dealing with the most lowest form of our intelligence, the part of our intelligence that's in survival mode. When a roach, you turn on light and a roach runs in survival mode, he's not going to be able to figure out nothing until he feels safe. Then he can say, well, maybe I can save some more roaches. None of us feel safe. We're constantly in survival mode. Your ego, by its nature, will tell you anything to survive. It will lie. It will tell you anything. It will tell you you are conscious. It will tell you you are a father. Whatever it will tell you you are a cult master. It will tell you anything to survive, and we're relying on that. So to truly be free into your true intelligence, into your true intellect, into your Mayat has that heart because that's where the reasoning is. That's where the balance is. To get into this balance and to really straighten these things out with true solutions, we have to actually free ourselves from what we call in these problems, and then they will actually have the solution. The more we use and they're using this fear tactic with these cortisone and adrenaline pumped up, so they're using fear. We'll never figure out how, let's just say police brutality in this case, to figure it out because our brain chemistry is off based upon fear. And the 1% of white people understand this concept. So once we got them with Rodney King, all they did, we still think, because we're using this form of intelligence, that every cell phone that we captured them on and put it on Facebook, we're exposing them. But now we're actually using it as a tool to keep us locked down. So I would say on the surface, it's about fear and making us mad and seeing all these videos, of course, and just talking about the police brutality videos. But spiritually, what it does is it throws us off an emotional balance, and it keeps us locked in to their level of reasoning. We, quite simple, we are fighting their fight. We are fighting their fight. And the more we say Black Lives Matter, that's just, if I'm a boxer and I'm in with a brawler, the more we say Black Lives Matter, we're brawling. When we deal with our spirituality, we're a boxer and we're gonna cut off the ring and shut that brawler down. He's gonna punch himself out. But every punch goes in the face because we're sitting there ready to receive it. Yo, did you see that video what he did in Oklahoma to that boy? I know they're doing it. And whether you say it, see it, or address it standing outside on the corner, it's still going to happen. How it's not going to happen is I promise you, not saying I have the solution, I have the path to our solution, or the path to our best case scenario of empowerment. This I know. And that is you have to reorder. Well, just quite simply, what we have been doing is clearly not working. Clearly not working. So that was my whole thing for dealing with this work. What were we doing when the shit was working? When we ran the planet. What were we doing?
Right.
And you know, you can start from that concept. So studying this ancient thing and being a decoder of these ancient mythologies, not just being able to, my ego able to repeat some mythology to you and repeat some shit that makes you go, No, trying to really go hard to have a personal relationship with the symbology that was left behind for the purpose of transformation. And even the best I could do is not tell other people how to do it, but just say, look, this is what I do, it worked for me. See what happens for you. And in fact, I hope you come up with a whole different solution than me, because you came down here for a different purpose than me. We are so busy trying to get all the black people on the same page. All we have to do is get all black people to get in some form of work or different work if we were trying to do that. Now, me personally, I'm like, no, we came here for different reasons. Some came here and will continue here. Because, again, I want to point out, nothing wrong with path you take. Some came here to reincarnate and do human work, and that's until they're tired of it, then they'll be the conscious person of that lifetime and move on and so on and so forth. But what I find is most conscious people don't understand. But I tell you this, once they hear this, a lot of people will. So the good news is once we talk about this, a lot of people, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense to me. And somebody going to say, Pat, you sound like a fucking kook. None of that matters to me. I've given up that form of humanity. Only thing that matters is I'm supposed to reflect to as best I can. And if you pick up on the frequency, no arguing. You know what I'm saying? That there is the ultimate act of ego. That's a classic textbook example. Not because I think so. You can look at the textbooks and a need to be right. There's a book, Mind Control 101, J.K. Ellis, How to Influence Others Without Them Knowing or Caring. And then he tells you about the 7 needs, and I've talked about it before, of every single human across the board. And one of those needs is the need to be right. And again, if it's humanity, you are talking about the ego. Humanity is the ego by nature. And that need to be right is a part of your survival mode. This need to be heard. If you can give that up, you are starting to leave yourself from the front. The day you go, wait a minute, if I said these words, that shit ain't my problem. What the fuck am I doing? You would laugh at that shit and move on. You understand what I'm saying? So we need to say that shit about humanity. Wait a minute. Ain't my problem. Not know you sound hard because you built up a lot, not you, but people have built up a lot of compassion and love for their people in their hearts. But wait a minute, ain't you calling them gods? Then why do they need you to save them? They God. They God. They came out here under their humanity and understand the nature of humanity. All we need is to give people what they are looking for, not to save nobody. All I can do is say these words, and somebody's going to say, that shit makes sense to me. Where's the book? What's the meditation? Or I'm going to try this in astral travel, whatever they're going to do. That's all you can do with this idea that you came down to save black people. That I can't see how that's going to work. I can't. Motherfuckers will tell you the fire hydrant is green, while you saying it's sky blue. So, that's not my problem. You know what I'm saying? So as soon as you say those words, that ain't got nothing to do with me anymore. See, these human affairs got nothing to do with me now. We're not talking. Let's be practical. Somebody come drop a meteor on my house, you're going to see me outside on the news performing. You get what I'm saying? You are not going to eradicate your ego or your survival mode as long as you have a body. What you're really trying to do is get it to the barest minimum that you possibly can, I would have to say. So you can't spiritualize an argument. You know what I'm saying? An argument, and not to say I don't never argue. Me and you talking about, I don't know, the Knicks versus the Braves or whatever the fuck sports is. Yeah, or which one is better, Love and Hip Hop New York or Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. We can go at it, you know what I'm saying? But it's not, I don't bring my science into no, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
No argument. Like, well, I studied that, I read that, I had experience with that. I don't believe that, Penny. Okay, ain't nothing wrong with that. You ain't supposed to, you know what I'm saying? So arguing with science, I don't see the purpose in that. You get what I'm saying? I don't see the purpose in arguing things that you can't change and do nothing about. What's going on right now? You know what I'm saying? That you have access to, that you can grasp and say, you know what I'm saying? I don't know we came from troglodytes, but I know right now what I've seen through my spiritual work. So I know where we can go. I believe.
I was just thinking, when we deal with the heart, one of the first words that come to mind with people is love. They say follow your heart and not your mind. The heart will lead you in the right direction. I think a lot of sisters, a lot of women might find it a little harder to go with that, because a lot of women are probably out there saying, you know what, I followed my heart. I gave this nigga my heart, and he broke the shit. Every time it seems like a woman gives her heart, she follows her heart. We telling them to follow their heart. She gives up her heart, she follows it, and the shit gets broken. So
here's the trick, though. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, here's the trick, though. Most of them are not following their heart. They're following the lower three chakras, and they're, as I pointed out earlier when I said, it's masquerading as love. But why are they finding the same guy who either beats them? We just talk about dysfunctional guys. The same guy who don't pay no money, the same guy who don't bet. Because if they release themselves of humanity, found compassion and true love for their nature and their soul, that's when the soulmate comes.
Oh,
That's when Khadijah's like, oh shit, I get it now. You get what I'm saying? See, what they're following is the dude that never liked them in high school. That's a dysfunction in the solar chakra, let's just say. The dude that their father used to kick their ass in the house, he always seen it. That's what happened in the home. That's a dysfunction in the root chakra. Now you got a man doing what your father did. Following? So it's not real. See, that's just another lack of what's happening in the heart chakra. All of these emotions in the heart chakra can be mimicked, but most people know the shit in theory. I love this nigga when he get home from jail. It's not love. I met him on 4 months, and I wrote him a check because he had to get his car out the shop. That ain't love. But why'd you do it? Because I love him. That's what they say. So we know these as concepts, and that's exactly the gist of this conversation. We know these concepts. That concept, I gotta save my people. There's no such thing as the babies. There are babies. And every baby in my path, I have saved. I've saved more stepkids than any motherfucker I could ever seen on Judge Mathis or Judge. I've saved, personally. So I've saved babies, but the babies, I don't save because I don't know the babies. I don't have, that's a concept. You get what I'm saying? And that same concept of dysfunctional love is the same concept that these chicks are saying, I love this nigga. He only beat me because I made him mad. But I love him, and I know he loved me. That's why he punched me in my eye. That same dysfunction is the same dysfunction. We need to, I'm doing this for my people. I was in a dream. I woke up, and something told me, you must save your people. I've heard this shit from you. So that's the same dysfunctional love generating from the ego or dysfunction. The true love is self-love, self-evaluation, and it actually extends to others. I believe I told you this before, but I said my goal was never to save any black people, but I get 2 to 3, 4 emails a day. Patty, you have saved me. You have saved my life. You have changed me. Without you, I don't know what to do. And I said, oh, I get it because it wasn't ego-driven. It wasn't human-driven. It's me being truthful to myself and reflecting it, and people recognize that truth. And that truth is that love is actually touching motherfuckers sincerely. Not saying I'm the only one. I'm the only motherfucker doing it. But cause I'm sure everybody else is getting them same kind of emails. But my observation of what I'm doing tells us, oh, I get it. When I didn't have this goal to save the kids and the babies and all these motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying? That's when it's actually working. Because really, well, what did I do? I said, oh, I saved myself. And then you're just reflecting that light. You're too busy trying to save somebody else. You ain't saving yourself. They tell you that shit on the airplane. When the oxygen thing drops, put yours on first, motherfucker. Then you save everybody else. Then help the elderly and the babies. You get what I'm saying? Once you put your oxygen on. So, again, but am I mad at somebody who does that? No, it's okay. That's what you're supposed to do. But esoterically, the understanding is you're really just condemning yourself to another lifetime. For some people, that doesn't matter. Maybe that's what they want. So all the black people I hear all the time, I'm trying to get out. Well, you need to understand that works in the chakra system. Again, like I said, I lay all this shit out in my book. It should be out maybe the end of this month. All this out in my book. I have a whole chakra section. That's why when you bring up the subject, I'm like, oh, I can't wait. I dealt with this subject, and I also deal with it in my class. And basically, that is the key. That with all of this, I became conscious is really when you stand at the crossroads in the heart chakra. So all those things you call it love and compassion, you really have to have this as for your soul. You get what I'm saying? For your transformation, for this dedication of light seeking. You know what I mean? As opposed to, helping others. Now you can't, well, that's the difference. That's for sure. I don't want to say one is better than the other. I want to, I'm going to be partial to the spiritual side. So it may sound like that, but the reality is you're just making a choice. You get what I'm saying? To stay in this. And some people need to be down here they came for a few lifetimes. So it's not necessarily bad. Some people came to do this 2 and 3 times, and then after that 3rd time, they're going to be just as conscious as anybody else. Now, there's also another while we're here, there's another concept of some people just forgot because we've been down here so long, and they're just stuck in the cycles of time. And you may say, let's just take a Christian to use an example. May not be the case, but use an example and the good work of someone, let's say like me, Brother Phil, or, Joe Pogram, Dr. Ben, and all the rest of the list that we know came to help out those who are stuck or sleep in the regeneration or reincarnation, which is reincarceration. But some who I don't want to say masquerade, but do conscious work, but it's all about that human touch, straightening out people, stop out people, and all of that. Those are people who are still considered conscious, but chose the red, for lack of a better way to describe it, the red path, which is the path that they said, I'm not going to work on my humanity. On my spirituality. I'm going to maintain my humanity and try to make it easier for other humans. So I'm really a humanist. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The black path is a spiritualist.
Does masculinity get in the way of men tapping into their heart chakra? Because when you say heart chakra, one of the first things people think about is feminine energy. You think about your feelings and your emotions and touchiness and all that other shit. So do you think our masculinity, because I guess people would say it's easier for women to tap into her heart chakra. So is our masculinity getting in the way of that, Brother Penny?
I would say yes, but that's based upon society, social, how men are trained socially. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So since masculinity is now in the way because we are in a patriarchy, so when this became patriarchy, men ruled and show no emotions, and then they put the line in the sand, bitches show emotions, niggas are rock hard, where all it was is, and if we all have emotions, it's not a feminine trait, you know what I'm saying? But the feminine is dominant from the emotional perspective. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But there's plenty of women who be hella logical as well. So and that comes from, we know there's a little bit of both in both of us. So society now has put such a strong line in the sand, you know what I'm saying? And because if you meet some Africans, not the motherfuckers that hate you, but every once in a while, if you get the opportunity, you might meet a group of Africans that's unscathed by how much they hate American niggas, and the compassion in their heart is, remember I said some motherfuckers you could radiate for 30 feet? When I was working, I give you a better example. When I was working at Nielsen, I was doing computer tech. They did all these moves. They moved all these niggas around. They have nothing for me to do. I was in a whole section by myself, getting my time sheet signed. This was when some old room shit was coming through. Signed, not even coming into work. This shit was crazy for like 5 months, basically getting paid for free. So, but they were outsourcing us to India. So my section was empty. I just have a bunch of books on my desk, coming every once in a while. They put a bunch of Indian dudes and one chick in my area, straight from India. So, of course, we talk, and they see when I'm reading. I'm talking about Hanneman, Cedar, Rama, Pravati, Kali. As a matter of fact, while I'm here, this woman dude said, you always hear this contradiction about Kali. She's the great mother in the universe, but down here she's that crazy, eat you alive bitch. I'm like, there's so many contradictory. So their prayers are called pujas. So he's like, to get her wrath, you say her pujas backwards. Now that's a breakthrough. So to get the power of Kali, you say the pujas backwards. If that's not in the book, this nigga India told me. In fact, they used to tell me there's temples over there they can't explain. So there's temples that are leaning, like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. You walk in and everything is straight. You walk out, it's leaning. So there's a temple, they don't know where the water comes up from. It floods every day at the same time and retracts every day. They don't know where the water's coming from. He said, he's like, come out there, I'll show you all these temples. But what I noticed, but talking to them, being on their heart energy, and I'm not just saying, they were just so fucking kind. I was literally scared for them. I said, these motherfuckers are going to get eaten up in New York. So when they told me, no, we're going to go back in a month, I felt literally believe. He was just so fucking sweet. You know what I'm saying? Trusting, and it was so profound that you would walk away feeling like you were in a form of love. You know what I'm saying? Just from that cipher, this old world energy that's unscathed, just no malice, no nothing. Now, with that being said, that emotion is there. That's that masculinity book. That shit. That's some white man that we're just mimicking, being masculine, thugs. That's our survival mode shit. And again, back in the 80s, same thing with a group of Africans. The motherfucking was so sweet. You know what I'm saying? One from Mali, the other was from Ghana. The others were from Ghana. I used to work with them at a drugstore. Just so fucking sweet. You never met niggas like this. Yeah, so that's like society shit. So it's in us, but that again is why when you're doing this particular occult work in the heart chakra, you relieve yourself of these human things, and you're actually relieving yourself of masculinity. That's why Jesus looked like a bitch. You know what I'm saying? You're relieving yourself of this masculinity. More of these Christ figures are always men, and that's the heart chakra. They're always men. Because it truthfully, in its bigger picture, has nothing to do with masculinity, or it has nothing to do with man and woman. Feminine energy and masculine energy, yes. Man and woman. So masculinity is from some man and woman shit. How I'm supposed to behave as a man, or how I'm supposed to behave as a woman. Mm-hmm. That's where all that comes from. That's the whole idea, what we talked about earlier, where you built up all your humanity, your societal behaviors are in those three lower chakras. So it's not, you can't give them up and dead them, because you still have to go to Walmart. You still have to work every day. You know what I'm saying? So you can't give them up and dead them as much as you understand them and know where they belong. So that 10% of tithe that you give is actually 10% of humanity. So when I'm in Walmart, I'm not saying Ashe and Hotep. I'm just in there doing Walmart shit. That's where all of that shit now belongs. But my spirituality does not have a place in my work. So that masculine and feminine social thing, now the average Joe, like in which I know is why you're addressing this question, will have a problem. But where they have to first start is true chakra work, which is true self-evaluation, and then start asking yourself and not doing the shit that Jaden Smith is doing, wearing a dress going, but what's wrong? What's wrong with this shit? I don't get it. But in your mind, start questioning what you call masculinity and femininity, and is it just a part of your ego? A man never lets another man do that. That's shit we talk about. I don't give a fuck. But at the same time, I get it. Ain't nobody gonna walk in and smack me and go, hey, you're spiritual. No, we gonna do just like anything. You know what I mean? Any other reaction. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that has no place in dealing with this work. So we have to be able to separate humanity and spirituality, which we don't do. Most of us are enhancing humanity and calling it spirituality. They're spiritual humans. So we have to really, it's not an easy task. People think that learning this information is hard. That ain't nothing. I'm saying, y'all, you don't even have to read this shit no more. You just turn on YouTube and get all the information you need. But it's not the information that's going to transform you. It's self-realization. And you can't have self-realization through your current state of thinking. And not meaning our current state of bad thinking, meaning whoever you are, if you're thinking the same way, it's not, you got to change thinking inside of you. You got to change something in you for you to have a new realization. Otherwise, you're gonna take the new food and make it the same meal again. So I get those people in my class that I tell them in the middle of class, you need to shut the fuck up. I'll say something and then they'll type it and re-explain it in their understanding. So I have to explain to them, there's always one, You know, once the one reveals itself without embarrassing everybody else, kind of falls in line. I said, you're not learning anything. You're taking what I'm saying and retwisting it into the same shape you're used to. And I don't care if you're right or wrong. You're not in the mode to receive or thirsty to receive something new. You know what I'm saying? That's the one thing I learned about it. No matter how advanced we can call Brother Bobby Hemmett, when I had a revelation or I found a book or a passage or something, he was thirsty to hear something new, no matter who the fuck it is. Half these niggas I don't even pay attention to. Did you hear that nigga's tape? I'm like, Bobby, fuck to the nah. He's like, well, he said this. He said, thirsty to hear something new. And from that understanding, it's like, oh, I see the genius. The genius is in that, because we say it, we got that metaphysical, I am the teacher and I'm also the student. But you're not really the student. You get what I'm saying? Because you're not really changing your thinking to find something you didn't know. You know, I've seen in the occult science, and this is the understanding of when they say these words. I hope I contradict everything that I've ever said. That means I'm somewhere the fuck else. So you can't get me to debate a point. I won't do that because I want to be fucking wrong. Not because you said so, because I studied it and I said so because I realized it. Not because you fucking read a book and you're going to quote some shit based upon your feelings. No. I need to have that self-discovery. That's why the fuck I came here. So that starts with you evaluating your emotional state. And your emotional state is dictated by your chakra system, not your social state as a man or your social state as a woman who has the rep for being more loving. But all you got to do is turn on Judge Mathis and see these women suing these niggas. Look like for shit, scratching up cars and busting out women. It's the same shit. Different way. You know, I don't go hard on my sisters. I love, you know, I'm that guy. You know, what was in them was less stage than whatever the fuck happened to us. I believe in the power of the divine feminine 100%. But we need to be real with this human shit, though. You know what I'm saying? This human shit, just off the child support level. You know what I'm saying? And not saying nigga shit, but you've seen them child support scams. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it doesn't matter. That's what humans do. You get what I'm saying? So I'm not going to say, put my fingers, this is getting us too. But we got, fuck this battle of the sexes shit. We all fucked up when we invest in humanity. You know what I'm saying? But see, we talk about it, you know, well, the feminine, you know, the woman's more this way and the man's more this way. Because we're confusing or trying to add masculine principles or feminine principles, the divine feminine principles, masculine principles. But if we looked at it socially, it's fucked up. We got too much invested in something that you're going to, we got too much invested in something that's about to die. Something that's going guaranteed to die. You know you came from somewhere else and you know your ass is going somewhere else. I thought you were holistic. Spirituality is dealing with the holistic, not ignoring humanity, but putting it in its proper fucking place. My humanity is not ignored. My humanity is not slighted on doing my spiritual work. My mind is not on Saturn. But within my spiritual work, it allows me to master my humanity to the fullest extent, because clearly the intellect is not mastering your humanity. It has not. The intellect is too volatile. First of all, you can only be intellectual based upon the information that you have. If you don't have the information, you cannot be a powerful intellect, which is too volatile. Information is always changing and stimuli is always changing. You have an intellectual, reasonable reality that 9/11 happens, they knock down 2 buildings, and then your whole intellectual structure is fucked up. And this is because you are investing in something that is in survival mode and something that is too volatile. The only thing that's unchangeable or I don't want to say unchangeable. The only thing you can guarantee on, and you are actually in the same rhythm of, is spirit, because spirit is actually running this, and it is always changeable. But you can guarantee it comes up with the best solution because it supersedes your intellect. So if you want to use the smartest part of yourself, let's just call it that. If you want to use the greater part of your black genius, your melanated genius, you need to deal with spiritual concepts. And I promise you, all the problems you think you're having in humanity, you'll see them dissipate. And I'm not talking in theory, well, what the ancients used to do and what the Egyptians used to do. I'm talking about what I'm doing right now that's working. You know what I'm saying? But not just me and everyone in my cipher, working quite well. This shit works. Spirituality actually runs my humanity to the best of its ability. And this is what I can promise you. When I wasn't in the spirituality, I still had a better human life than all these niggas out here talking about this. Goddamn, what they doing. I promise you that. I made my first rap record at age 14 and ate deliciously through those years. This I promise you. Worked that record, all that good shit. And then after it was all said and done, when the internet emerged, I started selling porno very early on the internet and lived deliciously. So I already had that before. So even now, it's much more fulfilled, and it's much more because I'm not greedy. I don't need to be rich. All I need to do is live comfortably like I want to do, see whatever movie I want to do, and wear whatever sneakers I feel I need to do. That's not my goal anymore. But at the same time, there's not going to be any starving, not going to be any suffering, not going to be any of the white man's doing that. Now, at the same time, I don't want it to get twisted. If I see a little black girl, a little black boy getting beat up on YouTube or the internet, I still have that same human compassion for it. But my emotional state, not the same. I promise you, as other humans. I don't want to go, you still have the thought, boy, if I had that white man, boy, I'd choke the shit out of him. But going out and doing it, wearing a Black Lives Matter T-shirt, wanting to yell on the corner, wanting to rally up something and do nothing, that's not my reaction to it. My reaction is to go deeper spiritually and inform those who are on this path, because that's the only ones that I can speak to in a frequency. But if you came here to beat up white people for beating up black people as cops, what do you need? I'll fix your canteen for you. I'll get you some bullets, whatever you want to do. If you're here to do it, what's stopping you? Don't let me get in the way. You too busy looking at me going, why you ain't fighting white people? You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm like, well, why you ain't fighting white people? You know what I'm saying? Why you ain't in the cause, brother? That ain't what you. Well, why you ain't in the cause, nigga? You know what I'm saying? YouTube ain't fighting white people. So go ahead and do it. You know what I'm saying? Once you get his ass on the floor, I'm definitely coming outside to jump in. You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely gonna jump in. You know what I'm saying? Once you kind of on the ropes. You know what I'm saying? Until that point, you know what I'm saying? Until that point, all I could do is the grand design work that everyone keep talking about. These Camites, fuck what they were doing and what they were saying and how they was living and what they look and how sexy the wall looked. What the fuck was the science? It was my thing. I'm talking about what they were doing. Let's do what they were doing, because evidently that's what they left that for. To say, look, move on this path. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, everything on that wall has everything to do with how to die and not come back. How to die and not come back. Well, I just got finished telling you about the gateway and the path you choose in spirituality about not coming back, and one path in the heart chakra about coming back. I thought we was all Camites, and that's what the fuck we know this. Everything is a gateway. How to reach the realm of Osiris, how to go to the underworld, how to bring this shit in the afterlife. You know what I'm saying? Never come back. All that was symbols. So all that to say, this is the work. At least the way I see it. If you don't see it this way, and even better yet, if you don't feel it this way, this is what I promise you. It is not therefore, don't be conflicted with what I say. Throw everything I say away. It's worthless to you. So it's not about, well, Penn said that, but I feel that. So let me write it on YouTube because this is the most effective thing I can do. Panic, well, you said this, and I say that, and I know because I'm a shaman too. And yes, I never read my comments. I happen to read them. I'm a shaman because I never felt what Panic said. Wrote a whole book. I'm like, that. If you're a shaman, like, what shamanistic practices are they comments on YouTube? Like, I don't get, like, what's the science on that one? Like, if you don't feel me, all these lectures are free. And, like, my thing is, don't listen. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like I'm forcing myself on you. God damn, I just don't feel panicked, but here he goes again. Somehow on my YouTube. Like, don't listen. Like, but then write a whole see, when I see that, I'm like, it's the need. Remember, in that mind control book, one of the seven needs to be right. To be heard. So that means you're not a shaman. Or if you are a shaman, you're the shaman nobody's listening to. Because this is what I promise you. This is what I promise you. I am never going to be on your page commenting on your shit. So, yeah, I can, and so does that make me better than you? Fuck right. But on another level, it's like that doesn't even capture my interest based upon spirituality. So if it captures yours, what kind of shaman could you be? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? The YouTube shaman, I don't get it. If you're a badass shaman, come and tell me that in the spirit world, my nigga. I know how to do that. You know what I'm saying? But I have no interest in coming to you. If you're in the spirit world, your lectures suck. You know what I'm saying? Stupidity. You know what I'm saying? So we have this whole ego-driven concept of what we're doing spiritual and how advanced we are spiritual. And that's a part of it. So the more people tell you got melanin, you know, you got pineal, you're the oldest motherfucker here, you tend to not do any work and think that the work has been put in. But if you are here, you came to do work. And you really need to understand the concept of that work. You need to understand that there is a line in the motherfucking sand. That line is transformation of your true self, spirituality, your soul, whatever you want to call it, versus your humanity. And is there something wrong to being in humanity? I guess that's in the eye of the beholder. But me personally, no. I'm done with it. I figured out this Rubik's Cube. Or even if I didn't figure out this Rubik's Cube, I'm also saying I'm willing to quit. You know what I'm saying? But what I tell you is I'm not going to sit at this table no more. Not when you sit in the same breath and tell me all the gods and goddesses we are, all the universe is ours, and then you trying to get me to stay down here. I claim to understand you. I claim to understand. So the whole idea in the heart chakra is really the gateway or the crossroad, and that's where you actually make the choice to be Mr. Spiritual or Mr. Human Helper. Martin Luther King versus what do you call it? Even better example, Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa. We know this story of this woman who did all of this stuff and for humanity. So much that they made her a saint, I believe. You know, the title of a saint, the Catholic Church. And if you were to say, even like her heart, people would talk about her heart. You get what I'm saying? Her heart, her compassion, what she did for the people in Calcutta, I think she was, and what she did and what she did. Now, that's Mother Teresa in our heart. She's condemned. Now, what's the reality? There's a movie out about Mother Teresa and these actual letters that she wrote of how fucked up shit was for her in her own psyche. This is a movie out now. She was saying how this was the wrong decision. She should have did it. She ain't really doing shit. She hated it. Motherfuckers is fucked up. So humanity always brings this conflict. That's the nature of humanity. But you listen on the outside, oh, her heart was right. This is what I promise you. I have nothing in my heart that I regret or I I relieve myself from this portion. You have to understand that's really our problem. We think we're trying to fix our problem, but we're actually embracing and enhancing it. You get what I'm saying? We're embracing and enhancing it. The more we sit out there every day and just focus on our problem, as you pointed out earlier, that's what they said in the laws of attraction. The more you talk about something, the more you multiply it. The more you vibrate on something, the more you multiply. We vibrate on our issues constantly. And then for our ego, yeah, you're a god, you're a goddess, you're a hotep, you're a king, you're a queen. You know what I'm saying? Look at that beautiful baby. She's going to be something. The same hope any other human has. Look at the baby. She's going to be, look at that little goddess. It's like that, look at your hair. Your hair is better. Look at that little beast, and look at that little beast kid. Look at that beast eating that pig, and look at that beast, and look at that savage. It's like, okay, we're not saying none of that's true or not true. We ain't going there. But spiritually, we know that's just enhancing our ego. It's not transformative shit. It's not transformative shit. And that's the key. We're here, well, I'm here, and anybody listening to me that's on this vibration should be here to transform. You've got to know. It's about putting the energy where the energy belongs. Bobby told me this, and I'm sure you guys know the question, but I want to get this out. There's a book called The Spirits Book by Alan Carnac. A good book. A lot of people have this book. It's really an old book, and this guy has been taught. The whole entire book is channels of him talking spirits. And one of them, and it's really no table of contents, but in the book, he talks about something called ego poisoning. And basically, you could, by the time you get to this heart chakra, which everyone just by those 7-year cycles are going to interface with. See, my son, he's 22 now. And boy, oh boy, that nigga there. But now I'm starting to see where he's more thoughtful. Not conscious or want to help black people, but I see him look at love and hip-hop now and can observe. He'll say things like, they all making us look stupid. That to me is like, that's damn near like goddamn Malcolm X. You know what I'm saying? That's some shit Malcolm X said at the Autobahn for him. They start. So I'm starting to notice more and more things where he appreciates me and his mother and, that kind of thing. So it's going to happen because he's in that cycle. Like I said, if he gets more and more information, if he gets, it depends on what his path is, where he's going to be at, and we don't force that. He might say, fuck it, I'm a Christian. Based upon my shit, well, knock yourself out. I'll buy him some green shoes to wear to church. Because it has, you know what I'm saying? It has nothing to do with nothing. With what we need to be doing as black people and all that shit. So we're going to get to that point of compassion. We're going to get to that point. It's going to be there. But if you come upon information to transform you, like, we don't really have the understanding of the point of this. And that's one of the biggest things in my class. Whatever I bring up, chakras, astral traveling, altars, whatever, somebody's always the star of the class, and they start breaking it down. And I said astral traveling. Well, explaining this, all the official intellectual shit, the astral world, and this, that, the other. In fact, I'm gonna put that lecture up, and I said, well, now tell me why you would astral travel. I said, no. That's it. Why are you going through your chakras? I don't know. Or more intellect. Well, the aura, balance out the aura. Or why you want to balance aura? See, when you get past when I get past in my lectures or my classes at what I know that they heard in the lecture that I either said or Bobby either said, that's where the void is. They have no idea of the goal. Most of us don't have no idea. I see constantly, and especially dealing in the class situation, of where we fall short constantly. Now, before I forget, Bobby was telling me in this book, there's a section, the Alan Carnac book, where you can take this spirituality, and that's why I was starting to talk about my son and his heart, why it's going to happen, even though, just by the cycles, when you get this information, two things could happen. You will either feed, because any of this information is light now. Information is light. But information, knowledge, needs to become wisdom and understanding. Wisdom, that fermentation, that it needs to go through the feminine aspect. It has to go through the feminine, which is the wisdom. That's why the 5% calls the woman the wisdom. And the understanding is the son or the birth. So the understanding is you're able to manifest. I'm dealing only with knowledge that I can bring to, that I can formulate as wisdom and understanding. If you're telling me we were troglodytes, that understanding, which is the end result of that knowledge, means absolutely shit to me. I'm looking for knowledge that I can meditate on, focus on, do any of the spiritual practices or work I do, which is the wisdom aspect of it, to become wise in this knowledge. That's research. Wise in this knowledge for my life to manifest at will, which is magic, the manifestation of a thought, which is understanding, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. So if you're telling me this, just knowing that, I'm not going to name anything, but just knowing that, when you hear any information, my people, and you say, well, where does this understanding take me to as it manifests for me? And if it's worthless to you, throw it away. Nigga just running his fucking mouth about what he know. Half the niggas are trying to tell you what they know. They're not teaching you. They want to, they're passing it off as knowledge, but what they're really saying is, look at what I know, and look at what you don't know. You get what I'm saying? Well, all they have to do is masquerade as knowledge. Now, in that book, which I'm trying to get to, he says this information is going to go one of two places. It's either going to go to the heart or to the brain. And if it goes to the brain, it goes to the ego. If it goes to the heart, it's going to transform your spirit. So you could take that same information, let's just say you're studying Anchor Watts, and you could be this guy on the street. You could see the images, get the understanding, and see where you fit in to that scenario, where it completes you as something. See, when I see Anchor Watts, I knew, I was there. So it made me study in a different context. When I study with the context of it being a part of me. And if I feel that emotion, that feminine aspect emotion, then that means that emotion is going to transform my DNA. The emotions transform your DNA. That's why we have them. So you be in fear and scared all the time. It's transferred our DNA into the nigga that you see today, running their mouth on YouTube and not going out to stabbing whitey, because that's what they said they're going to do. You the warrior. You know what I'm saying? You the master. You the master. Why show me on YouTube how many motherfuckers you stabbing in their throat? Because I guarantee you, niggas do that all the time to other niggas. Ain't nobody just going out to stabbing whitey. I ain't hear about no reverse George Zimmermans yet. You know what I'm saying? Right. I heard about one nigga in New York shot up some white cops. It was like, what? I said, well, yeah, that's the general. You know what I'm saying? That's the general. We should all be calling him up from jail. What's next, buddy? What's next, general? You know what I'm saying? What's next, general? So that nigga put his money where his mouth is. You know what I'm saying? So in none of that, you know, hey, do what you got to do. It doesn't matter. So either the ego or the heart is gonna take on this information. If the ego, now we're studying Anchor Watts and you're filling up the ego, you're going to be the guy outside proving to everybody that those are black people. That's the black nose. Those are black lips in Cambodia. And black people were here first. And black people were all over the world. You're going to be out there yelling, listen closely. I'm not talking about proving that. Because let's just say Ivan Van Sertima proved that. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about arguing that. You understand? Different. So if you're outside arguing, those are black people. Look, that's black hair, and that's black this. Talking to other black people, by the way. You know what I'm saying? Or even white people. That means that information that you learned about Anchor Watts, which may be absolutely accurate, is still said the ego or the brain. But when you study that same information, that same piece of literature, that same piece of research, and you start to feel a connection with the images in Angkor Wat, the story of Angkor Wat, something in your emotions is kind. That means that information that you get is feeding the heart, and you're making a connection or a reconnection with that ancient information in your DNA. Therefore, when you're doing all the astral travel and the candle magic and all of this, once you made that connection in the DNA can start talking to you through what you've been calling spirit and giving you the information that you need. Even if it's not information that you can repeat, just a knowing that you have, because it's not necessary to repeat, because you're not the guy on the corner that's arguing the shit. So once you get past the argument mentality, all the stuff I study puts me in a knowing, puts me in an absolute knowing. You know what I'm saying? Not in an absolute place where I got to drop science on the shit and prove to somebody something. That means you fed the brain. This is basic occult shit, you know what I mean, for my school of thought. So when I'm watching all this stuff, which I find very entertaining, by the way, this is, when I watch debates, each time the person debates, one person debates, then the other person, I be like, yo, that nigga's right. And then the next person in the debate, yo, that nigga's right. And then I'm like, yo, that nigga's right again. I'm like, yo, he's really right. Everybody seems right. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, that shit is hot. It's right. You know what I'm saying? And then I started again, I said, because, oh, I get it. Because when I did my heart chakra work, I gave up the argument. You get what I'm saying? That's why I can't even make that work for me. Because I've given that up. That's a level. Know who used to do it all the fucking time? Bob. Like, I'll get on the phone with them. Yo, man, I'm about to get some food, but these motherfuckers is arguing. Hey, man, that's good. See, they arguing that. They putting the energy on that. Okay? Next day I get on the phone. Hey, man, I'm about to get some food, but these people are arguing. Don't eat that shit, Panic. Throw that shit away. Wait a minute. And then I said, no, whatever the mood was, it's like, okay, go for it. Like, you know, a Panic, you know, I'm Bobby, man. I'm watching this movie, man. It's, you know, just like Avatar, the white dude come, he save all the black people and all the black people. See, that's good. Because what you need, he represents a different element that is going to come in and transform. See, nothing, if we think the same, you got to have somebody to shake it up. Okay, you know, Bobby, man, I'm watching this movie, man. Just like Avatar, the white dude comes in and says, they always do that bullshit. it can't be the original man that comes through. It's always got, they always try to inject themselves and give themselves a history. Now, I promise you, he did this shit 30 times before I realized the science of his thinking. It's not what he was logically thinking. He really believed this shit in that moment, these contradictions, because he's been giving up the fucking argument. That's a level that when you want to say what magic is, because I know people are intellectually trying to understand this, but magic goes beyond intellect, and what I'm telling you right now is magical. Magical for lack of a better word. Because I did explain what it is, but for lack of a better word, it works out because it is magic. It is that unexplained, and it's only unexplained by intellectual reasoning. But it's explained when you understand heart chakra and what I just explained about the path, spirituality, letting go of the ego, compressing or releasing yourself from human thought. When you do that, then this argument thing doesn't matter. You are in the now, because all of them niggas sound right to me. And when I said, oh, good. When I hear that, I'm so relieved that all these niggas sound right. That means I'm so beyond picking a fucking side. That to me is childish. And are the sides right, or could it be whatever? Yes, I believe in you. I believe. But at the same time, for me, nothing in they all sound great to me. You know what I'm saying? They all sound well studied and well present. They present well. It's entertaining when I watch these shows on YouTube. I'm thoroughly entertained. Do I feel that I got more information sometimes, but I really know true help for me and those who deal. There are, if y'all don't know this, let me explain. There are hundreds of thousands of niggas who are into true occult spirituality. This is not a little side thing that niggas do. I don't have enough time. I cut off so many avenues and I don't have enough time, and not enough niggers are really talking this shit on a level where it's helping people. The only people I see talking about spirituality sound like they're just trying to show what they know. You ask them, hey, well, what can we do? And that's where it falls short. You know what I'm saying? Giving people tips and tricks and other shit. There was something I had the other day. Well, it's going to be in that other lecture I just came up with. There was something else that came through as a. I mean, I'll probably give out some methodology if we get into it in the heart chakra. In my book, I got so much information I don't remember. There's herbs for the heart chakra. I have a herb pack that helps with the heart chakra. I put some herbs together, but there's herbs in my book that I tell. There's oils, there's deities for the heart chakra, any close energy, deities, but it depends on what you work. Of course, the color is green, the color is pink for more compassion, green for more fertility and abundance type love. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, the ego in the heart, that's what you're fighting. And if you have a need to tell somebody off or tell somebody something, it's the ego. That's the nature. That's not my estimation of guess. That's written in stone, basically. Written in well, I don't want to say written in stone to be specific. That's written in occult science. That one's been revealed a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? If you have the need to argue, again, Bobby, yet again, we were. I was telling them this is the MySpace era. Niggas always doing this. Niggas always saying it. I say that. Niggas say that. Niggas saying it. Niggas saying it. Niggas getting at this. I'm getting at this. Bobby said, you know something, Patty? He said, I went to this lecture. I did a lecture in wherever. And the lady stood up and said, no, that's not true. Dr. Such and Such she says, blah, blah, blah. He said, well, it's not true. That's been discounted, blah, blah, blah. Here's the references. No, but Dr. Such and Such says this. Well, this is Dr. Such and Such says that. So now Bobby goes in on her, blah, 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 and shuts her down. That same woman calls him a couple of weeks later saying, hey, Brother Bobby, I would like to do a lecture with you and fly you in first class. He said, sure enough. That he got the ticket, this is pre-9/11, traded it in, took him and his girl on the Greyhound bus because he wanted to bring her. So they rode for hours and hours after he traded in her first class ticket. And when he got there, he's like, yo, I'm tired, been on the Greyhound, just want to get to the hotel, relax a little bit. And he said, before we go to the hotel, let's stop at Dr. Such and Such house. He said, this chick from our ego flew him in and set up a meeting first class. She was intending to fly him in first class. Set up a whole lecture just so she could bring him in to this particular doctor. And he went. He said, Patty, you know what I did? He said, I totally bitched myself. She told me her theory. I said, you know something? You're right. You know something? That's true. And I said, what? Now, remember, this is the MySpace days. I didn't get this concept. He said, Patty, all the ego wants is to be right. It wants to be right. Give it. You ever heard that phrase, give the baby its bottle? Say, give the baby its bottle. Watch. If you want to know about the ego, the movie to watch is Revolver. Ray Liotta, Andre 3000, and the dude who played Jason Stamos, the dude who played Crank. Revolver. I believe it's on Netflix. If it's not, buy that movie. They went so hard on the ego. This technically wasn't a metaphysical movie. A metaphysical movie is a regular movie that they disguise beyond the physical, meaning the hidden metaphysics. So they were making a point about the ego. And in the end, they had like Deepak Chopra and the rest of them, what the beat do you know guys, speaking on the ego, talking about the ego as your greatest friend. Your closest enemy is closest to you. So must watch Revolver. And in Revolver, there's a scene where Jason Stamos is the one going through the transformation and releases his ego. And he eventually confronts Ray Liotta, who represents the ego, who confronts him in his drawers. And he's pulling out his gun in his face saying, fear me, fear me. And there's a lot of other references and so on and so forth. This particular portion of the fear me. And Jason Stamos wasn't in fear. And this represented as the emperor has no clothes. That's what that statement means. These niggas are dressed up in all of these YouTube videos as emperors, but have no clothes. Because I told you, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. It looks knowledgeable, but if you do the research and the wisdom, the understanding means absolutely fucking nothing. These emperors have no clothes. And that's a representation of the ego. So he said the ego, just Bobby, said the ego, this needs to be right. So I gave it what it wanted. Told her she was right. He said, I said, well, damn, did she really have a lecture for you? He said, yeah, I did a lecture and the bitch paid me. I'm saying, let me take back, I didn't do too much courtesy. I don't want to say the bitch. Well, brother was doing this until he called all women on the planet bitch. Like I did this meme, right, with Wayne. Wayne is in a meditative pose and his hands is in his mouth, look like he's whistling. So in this memo, meme, whatever they call it, and I did it years before that shit was popular. But I never put it out because that wasn't popular, but now it's popular. I put Wayne's up. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want, you don't want to seem like you're getting that brother Wayne. So I put up in the memo, it was like, this may look mundane to you. Then on the bottom it said, but I'm whistling at a hole on Saturn or on Neptune, right? So I put it up, niggas was giggling. Niggas called Wayne. So Wayne put it up. Me and Wayne is cool. Wayne's laughing. So Wayne was like, you know you made it once you made it in one of Panic's memes. So I'm laughing. So, I call it, let me get it out there. Love, nothing but respect and love. All in good fun. Love my brother Wayne. Nothing but high respect. So I don't think, comments now. I don't think, this shit had like close to 300-something likes. Most people take it for what it is. Most people know me, so they know not to take me seriously. But to those who don't know me, and it was some of them because some of those do Wayne, I don't think calling the word hoe is funny. I'm like, I know how you feel, sister, but on Neptune, hoe is hilarious. so they come in like Wayne is dying laughing. So I know I say bitch and hoe and all that, but see, I really understand. You can look in the Woman's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets by Barbara G. Walker. Every person should have this, but definitely every woman. It tells you from the feminine perspective where every single goddamn iota of shit came from. It's an encyclopedia of goddamn shit. The name bitch was a compliment. It meant the female dog, which is the female Anubis. It meant the wolf bitches, which are goddesses. Even the name cunt comes from the goddess Kunti. So again, for those who don't know me and those who may not be hearing this, who don't understand how coarse or may feel that it's coarse, understand, in where I come from in my mind, I've debunked all of these words. See, I know what something called the sacred hoe or the divine whore is. So when I say whore, that shit you're talking about is a stripper, and that in bitch, that chick that scratch your car window, it does not apply. So I'll say it, and it sounds like it, niggas, I know what naga means. So I defunct these things, and even if I didn't, those words are not going to upset me. So I'm going to apologize to those that are upset, and I hope you understand, but if you don't, I understand that you don't. So I said, well, did she do the likes of yes, paid me, sent me home, and all of this? So then he said, So I said, so what are you saying? He said, watch how it works. When anybody creates an argument for you, it's a form of the ego that you even need to answer back. He said, say they're right. I said, well, okay. He said, I learned that from Dr. Ben. I said, really? So I was at a Dr. Ben lecture. Dr. Ben was doing the Dr. Ben thing to how he does his thing and dropping it and so on and so forth. And they said, well, no, Dr. Ben, I don't agree. It is this, that, the other. He said it once. No, it's this. No, I don't agree. He said it twice. No, it's this. I don't agree. The third time he said, you know something, ma'am? You're 100% right. Thank you for that. And then he went on telling the same lecture he was telling anyway. It shut her up, and he just kept. So Bobby should observe this. It always something that stuck with him. And based upon his study and understanding it, it was always the way to shut down shit that don't matter. So, of course, I took that shit to my space and in my life and become this guy. You know something? Right. That's right. 100%. Oh, Rich, I can't begin to tell you at how that will disarm so much ignorance. What is the need to be right? I don't need to tell you nothing to be right. The only person I need to be right arguments with is Khadijah. I told your ass to turn left. I said it. That's it. You should have did it. Now look. But that's what we supposed to do. But in this shit, you know what I'm saying? I'll tell you once. Nah, well, I'll tell you here. I'll tell you twice. I'll tell you here. And then I'm like, okay. But now, don't get it twisted. If you're on Facebook and I'm having Facebook time, maybe I will fuck with you and play with you and argue with you and it's at the point now, no one really arguing on Facebook because they know a lot of motherfuckers are going to rally up on my side, so they don't even try that shit no more. What you say to panic? And what you say? Not panic. Yesterday, I'm like, damn, I got a lot of motherfuckers. We got a lot of warriors, but none of that turns me on. It's all in that arena is all in good fun. But day to day, if we're doing something serious, oh no, you're right. Sure, you're right. That's
definitely a brilliant approach. I will definitely keep that.
Oh no, you will see like a mirror. Like when Bobby told me, I'm like, oh, it's sad, but you want to tell this one. Oh my God, I couldn't believe that shit. I couldn't wait for a confrontation just to tell a motherfucker that he was right. Yeah, you right. You right, man. Wow. I gotta check that out. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I need to think about it. All right, then. Sometimes motherfuckers get mad because they want to argue, and that's another thing about it. Sometimes motherfuckers will be mad because they want to. They came to argue. They came for your confrontation, and they got nothing to do with it. They came for your confrontation, and when you sit around and be like, you're right. They mad that you ain't saying. It's really a level. This shit is about levels. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I thought. I remember the original lecture circuit, and the whole intention was about going to levels. You know what I'm saying? Not sitting around complaining about each other under the masquerade that you're checking something. It had nothing to do with that. It was about you finding a place of actually relief from your everyday the human shit wasn't working. So the lecture circuit for conscious folks, whether it was a small circuit, was about you finding something that was an alternative in your thinking. Imagine on the lecture circuit in the early, forget the 90s, the golden era, in the 2000s, niggas arguing about religion. That whole circuit was about getting the fuck away from all things religion. Not even trying to decipher the history, which one was real. It was about getting away from all things religion. It was about freedom. It was about you are God, and let us discuss God powers. Melanin, Kundalini, pineal, chakras, Kemetic studies, ankle, you name it, ankle watch, African indigenous study, anything that didn't lead you back to some conformity to something outside of yourself that you were given the concept is greater. That whatever you can fathom as great or beyond this earthly plane existed inside of you, and you were making that connection. Now you're worshiping it or saying how others should be worshiping it and telling me the history on it doesn't make any. What's that going to do? As I said, if it was working for you, knock yourself out. Knowledge, wisdom, understanding. You're going to give me a religious knowledge. What's the understanding? That I go back to church or that mosque or that whatever that is? Is that the understanding we have? I thought this shit was to get out. If ever you're going to throw around the word agent, that would be some agent shit. Because this shit was freeing niggas from that shit. The understanding, once you go to knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, you would just say, well, I guess these people were right, so now I need to go back to church. Whatever church that may be. So, if ever there's going to be some agent shit going on, and I've never thrown that word around because I thought people would just say that. That's like saying you the devil in church. And, you know, when you say, he's the devil in consciousness, he's an agent. It's like saying you're the devil. I never throw it around, but if you want to use the logical understanding, the reasonable understanding of people who are in this movement, who are using it to free themselves from all forms of religion, and then these arguments and ideas that are going around, if you follow them to their conclusion, if you're saving the people, if that's what we're doing, then the conclusion brings you back to church. I ain't putting down the conclusions to free you.
Indeed. You know? I mean, it was some powerful stuff on the heart, man. You got this book coming out. When is this book coming out?
The book is called The Origins of Occult Civilizations. It's volume 1 by Hollywood. This is where I go in and show you, I think, the most mind control system out here that rivals religion is Hollywood. Because even with religion, you can't really enforce it, or the way to enforce it is through Hollywood and media, really. Because you see how corrupt people are in the church. So you go to church every week, and there's no media or something that we could see other people to keep a moral compass about. It would just fall away. It would go how much we see it when we do pull the covers back and the preacher stole this and Creflo Dollar saying this. So in the media, even in religion, is how they keep reinforcing, like Tyler Perry's movies, where we're so focused on his dress, but we never really focused on how the religious propaganda in those movies. Because we still stuck on this nigga wearing a dress. That's the distraction. The real thing is the religious propaganda, which Spike Lee actually addressed, and believe me, I am no Spike Lee fan. But in the movie, the last Brooklyn one he did, Red Hook Summer, he actually showed a preacher he showed Mookie again, his character Mookie, and Mookie was a Muslim, so he was subtly injecting, because you know him and Tyler Perry at war, that black people have more than just Christianity. Because Tyler Perry comes from the perspective that it's a given that blacks are Christians, and then he does his antics in the dress. So he injected that, and the preacher in this church in Red Hook Summer was actually he molested some kid or something like that. So he put shame on it. So I could say, I said, he's going at Tyler Perry in this church idea. And I don't think he does it with too much consciousness, but he was going at him. Because Tyler Perry was going at him. Tyler Perry put in one of his movies, Big Dog Pizza, or Top Dog Pizza, which, remember, Do the Right Thing, Spike Lee's biggest movie, was set in that pizza parlor. So you can see they were subtly doing it as a film. So all of these type of things, if you will, and again, I get extremely more complex, is what I go through in this book. The effeminization of the black man and the agenda. Now, what I do, first time I'm revealing it, and I'm only revealing it because the book is out, or the book will be out. The book will be out February. The only thing I've got to do now is call the printer and get on the time schedule to print. So I'm assuming a month, so February, mid-February to end of February. That's when the book will be out. 400 and something pages, 460 something pages. So I went in. Now, there's 3 sections. The first section, and this is what I'm revealing on Brother Rich's show, Underground Radio, because I love my brother Rich, is that what I did was break down Willie Lynch and how they're still perpetrating every aspect of the Willie Lynch letter in Hollywood. Because they cannot perpetrate Willie Lynch physically, but they could do it psychologically. So when we still got the Willie Lynch and the Willie Lynch trip, well, how come we ain't over that? Because I'm going to show you how they subtly do all this agenda. For instance, the primary agenda for the black woman in the Willie Lynch letter was to make her independent of a man. The entire Hollywood black woman is, I don't need no man. That's her statement. If I said these words, who said this? I don't need that. I don't need no man. You would say every black woman in America, you know what I'm saying, has been on TV. So that independence. Beyonce made a song. They had a whole independent woman song. Put your shit to the left. So I go through this agenda that's still being perpetrated, and of course, you had to turn the black man into a woman. So the effeminization. Every single black man that's ever been in movies on the Hollywood, I've written them up and researched all the movies that they either were effeminized, made to look like an animal, all the Willie Lynch shit. Made to look like a child, which is pretty much the buddy movie of the sidekick. Made to look like a child, showed their ass, which is akin to slavery, or the auction block, which they showed you that for Denzel in the movie Ricochet, when he was in the locker room naked. Lindsay Wagner came in to check him out. That was like looking at a slave. They did that in the movie with Jamie Foxx, the football movie, when Cameron Diaz walked through. And, there's other movies like that. Showing your ass is the same concept. So all of these little subtle psychological trips, I showed to every single black man. They did their movie list and a little paragraph commentary. All that shit that's happening with Bill Cosby, wrote all this shit about him before I actually blew up. So I got a little paragraph with him saying, it's going to happen, watch, and boom. But it happened before the book came out. Now, that's the first section, like I said, from A to Z, alphabetical order. Second section, that's where I go hard with the science. Chakra section, people said the proofreader said the chakra section could have been a book within itself. I did the magical number of the 72 and the pineal. I did, what else? Laws of Tahuti and Necronomicon. And I really broke down. Necronomicon is a big deal. If anyone understands what the Necronomicon is, those are, this could be a whole other lecture, but to make it quite simple, horror as we know it today is based upon a guy named H.P. Lovecraft, died in the 20s. He's writing, he used to have these dreams and wake up and write his nightmares. Now the nightmares became a cult mythology. He never said the word Necronomicon. People call it Necronomicon. There was never a Necronomicon book. There is one now because H.P. Lovecraft made his work public domain, so that means anybody and everybody can write his work, word for word, and anybody and everybody has. Horror as we know it is him. Before Lovecraft, it was Edgar Allan Poe and Frankenstein, Dracula, the Mummy, that type of horror. When he came into play, it was like Creature from the Black Lagoon, The Blob, all the way up into Species, Cabin in the Woods, Evil Dead is all Necronomicon. Freddy, Jason, Michael, Phantoms, Mimic, all of those movies when you hear something dark has returned, or something, The Blob, The Fog, all of those things are Necronomicon movie. Pacific Rim, because in the mythology, Cthulhu comes to a gateway in the Pacific Ocean. And so when you see Pacific Rim and they're saying these monsters are coming out this gateway and we're going to fight these monsters, they said this is the apocalypse, so on and so forth. That's all straight Necronomicon. And I'm not even there. There's books that talk about the movie impact, the literature aspect, because it was original writing in Weird Tales comic books, the literature aspect, and then the occult aspect of it, because the occultists said because they were dreams, they picked up on the science. One of the hardest books is a book called Polaria, The Gift of the White Stone, which he gets into Lovecraft shit. But Donald Tyson does the most writing on Lovecraft. And there's a guy named Simon who wrote a book who he actually called Necronomicon in 1977, I believe, because he had a bookstore. People were asking for it. He knew there was no such thing. He only knew what I just got finished telling you. So when he wrote the book, made a lot of money, but that book is popular within itself. But he used a lot of Sumerian deities, and they weren't Lovecraft's original. There's games, Call of Cthulhu, all of these things online. So that name Cthulhu that you'll hear and you may see around is the chief priest that he talks about. Cthulhu has the same fucking story of Osiris. He here, he was ruled, he fell asleep, he's sleeping on the bottom of the ocean. One day he'll wake up and kill all of humanity. So you got the spirituality, again, against humanity, and I break that down so thorough. And the 7 original Lovecraft deities, I break them down to the body, go hard on that. And I do with the Kabbalion, the Lords of Tahuti, break all that down. And then the last section, I get back into Hollywood with just some miscellaneous things, Naga, all the Sam Jackson, the ritual they did with him, the Kundalini ritual, where they did it in 3 movies in a row. They did it in Freedom Land was the first one with Sam Jackson, Snakes on the Plane with Sam Jackson, and then Black Snake Moan with Sam Jackson. Freedom was locking down. Is a whole movie about locking down the Kundalini people, starting with the people. So the movie Freedom Land was about locking them down. Snakes on the Plane represented raised Kundalini. They had to lower these Kundalini energy. The lady was going to be a lawyer on the plane, my God. You know, so I go into the detail in the book. I'm just giving you the overall. The Black Snake Moan was about shutting down the Shakti Kundalini energy. He was some sexual freak. He chained her to the radiator. So he was locking down. His name was Osiris. He was locking down the sexual energy. So it's those subtle rituals, those type of things that they do in books are to speak to the deeper part of your psyche and the deeper part of your DNA. That's why it's so key for you to understand symbology. This is a basic course I teach in my class. It's important because once you understand the symbology, they cannot pull the wool over you. See, we are so trapped on white people that when they do a movie, that was the breakdown I did in Avatar. I'm sure you can find it online. Most people seen Avatar said, oh, the white man is doing this, the white man is doing that, the white man is doing that. But what I showed in my breakdown of Avatar when it was hot at the time was the psychological, subtle, subliminal messages that they're showing. The surface message for your conscious mind is the white man does it again. But there were so many, like I said, I don't remember, but it's documented. It's on YouTube now. You can hear it. Where I was showing, and I broke down how what they were doing on planet Earth in Haiti was nothing more than Avatar. I showed how they set up these rituals and they actually live them out, do them out. The white boy was represented, Bill Clinton. I can't remember his role. He was supposed to take over Haiti, and so was Wyclef Jean. He represented the black indigenous man who was supposed to marry the chick, and then the white boy came and married the chick in Avatar. So it was Bill Clinton. And I broke that shit down before it, and so many people got on it, it shut down the Haitian shit because they have to operate in stealth for this actual magic to happen. Magic happens in the subconscious mind. If they're not operating in stealth and it's exposed, their rituals cannot work. Most of their rituals are happening in Hollywood. Hollywood's hard showing you all the rituals of the love movies that they do, and why they give you Love Jones and Basketball goddamn Diaries, but their love stories are like Ghosts, Forever Young, shit that goes to the mystical level, while they keep your ass arguing about some basketball, never having a fairy tale. Then I break down how the only true fairy tale you got was Coming to America, and for that, people don't know, Eddie Murphy got sued his ass off for that. And while this was happening, he did one more, which was still kind of powerful, Harlem Nights, where he outsmarted the white gangster, made him look foolish, and blew him up. And after they gave him so much heat for that, That's when he went back to 48 hours and all the rest of that cool shit. And he's got some sort of consciousness, as funny as that seems. He made a conscious album. Now, it's not conscious on the level that means anything, but it's conscious for Eddie Murphy. You know what I'm saying? When I was king, and that song, like, I was a king. It's like, oh, at least this nigga knew he was a king. So all of this shit to say, I'm going through it hard. Like I said, I'm going through Sam Jackson from Nas. There was a TV show called The Wire, where it was a whole, I'm going to show you where it was a whole Nas ritual. Because remember that little boy who looked like Nas was on that show. I'm going to show you how that brought the Jay-Z Nas beef. I'm going to tie so much shit together, it's going to blow niggas' pubic hair straight. You get what I'm saying? So it's a hell of a book. It's a hell of a book. The proofreaders were, okay, they you know, because you don't know when you write, but the proofreaders like, nigga, you did it. So I said 466 pages.
Yeah,
I'm going in and I'm explaining this shit. That's why the book is so long, because I'm explaining it. This book can be read by the absolute Christian and they will get it. You know me, I don't do no fancy trick words. You ain't gonna need a
466 pages. That's thorough, man. Tell the people how they could get in contact with you so they can get ready to buy the book and your classes and everything else you got going on.
Okay, well, the next class is at the end of this month, probably beginning of February. I'm always doing it. They're month cycles. Each class is listen, anybody can take the class. I've serviced everybody on every continent. You do it through Skype. So there's no reason you're not able to take the class. People still ask me, how can I get to your house? Not necessarily. Through Skype. I do them every month. So they're 4-week cycle. I maybe take a week off, sometimes 2 weeks off. Then I start another cycle. I'm in cycle 26 now. So this is old school. I've mastered this particular curriculum. And again, you don't have to take my word for it. We do it, and also we do it on Sundays. You don't have to take my word for it. I got the testimonies up. I have to email the people who's taking the class. You can always email them and ask how it worked for them. Life-changing. I make boys, men, girls, women in this class. I guarantee you. Now, I'm also going to develop a new class soon, so stay tuned for that. The new class is going to be directly how to talk to spirits, period. How to talk to spirits. It's going to be, I'm thinking 2 weeks. I don't think I'm going to do 3 weeks. I think it's going to be 2 weeks. And it's going to be directly, it'll be excellent for those who took my class in the past, but I'm going to, that's why this curriculum is taking a little bit long, because I'm going to make it for those who's never taken the first class. It'll still work for them. You can reach me at my website, occultlectures.com. Occultlectures.com. That's the word occult, the word lectures with an S.com, and you can get my products. My most famous products, if those don't know, is a herb pack that helps open up your pineal gland. I also have herbs that specialize in different areas of the body, different aspects like dream, heart chakra, you know, whatever. You can go to the website and see the difference. Spiritual baths to cleanse the aura or empower the aura to attract a little bit of prosperity, attract a little bit of sexuality, a little bit of lust, all of these type of things listed out. Spiritual oils, products to clean. I got the belladonna, if you don't know what it is. I've been talking about it in my lectures. The book Cyclomancy, and you know, there's always could be stuff added and so on and so forth. I have a friend who's going to start selling conscious T-shirts. I'm helping him develop some slogans. So once that's up, there'll be a website. It'll be linked to my site, so stay tuned for that. And, of course, my queen, Khadijah, does readings. The list of the types of readings she does is on the site. A basic gateway reading, which is quite informative. And the big deal is the Akashic record reading. She does Akashic readings to a master level. Shocked me when I heard some of the readings she was doing. I didn't even know she was that ill. She does fairy readings, readings for your children. Go see her testimonies up as well. I keep promising that I'm going to put up some clips on my YouTube site. My YouTube site is also Occult Lectures. And when I put some up, you can hear for yourself. You don't need me to sell you nothing. You can hear for yourself. You can also reach out to the people who left testimonies for her. Masterful shit. That's what you want, those readings. So all of that's on the website, occultlectures.com. Like I said, I also have information, spiritual information. So if you ain't got the money, you're broke, I understand. There's a bunch of free information. All the links to all my past lectures are up there, so you can just go listen to past lectures. That's in the About Panic area. You'll see the link. At the top, there's a More area, M-O-R-E. That's where you'll find a whole abundance of spiritual information, candle magic, hollow magic, how to make candles, how to make oils, how to mix herbs, how to make oils with herbs, where to go to get them. A whole shit ass full of information on my website, occultlectures.com. So that's about the size of the sales pitch.
Word, man. Sign up to his classes, get them herb packs. I think, that book, man, that book sounds like it's going to be dynamite, y'all. So
I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be something, man. I think it's going to be something. Like I said, it took damn near 10 years to do it. I'm doing that shit forever. But like I said, I took my time and like when I was proofreading, I'm like, God damn. And, I felt it was good because when I'm reading, I'm like, okay, it was like, I'm like, this shit is blowing me away. Like, I didn't realize I could do it type thing. You know what I'm saying? Right. Or I'm like, wow, I didn't realize I was this thorough and this was good. So that told me I know I was in the spirit when I was doing it. Most of the things I hear my lectures and be like, oh, I said that? Oh, okay. I can't know it. That's when I know I'm in that zone. And so, right now, that was the first thing I was doing on MySpace. And here's the ironic thing. When I was with that, I had a recent girlfriend got an e-file reading. I thought it was all bullshit back then. It was before I was in consciousness. I got one of these readings from one of her, and it was totally wrong. I thought it was stupid. Then I went to her father, who got made in Nigeria. And he did what you call an e-file reading, which I didn't know at the time is a reading on why you came to the planet. And he said, the first thing he said was, wow, these numbers are high. They had no respect for me because I wasn't in that shit. So they was looking at me so stupid. When are you going to get rid of this guy? He was shocked at that. You know what I mean? They treat me like because I wasn't wearing all that white shit. So he looked at her and he looked at her and just shook his head. And now I realize he was telling me that me and her wasn't going to make it. You know what I'm saying? So now this nigga he's telling me, he said, you didn't want to come back to the planet. You was chilling in the high realms. Somebody asked you to come back. So I don't even know what to say. I said, for what? He said, to teach. Now, at the time, I was studying for my computer. I said, teach computers? I guess I could teach computers. He was like, no, you came to teach people. He said, you didn't want to come back. You was reluctant. Now, in the future, I found out that was Bobby who asked me to come back. Now, I didn't know that then. I had never even heard of Bobby at this time. And he's like, you're going to start writing first. And then from your writings, it's going to, that's when it will begin. I'm like, what? Now, I didn't realize in hindsight, I used to write all this shit on Blog Talk. On MySpace. And then people started wanting me to do Blog Talk. So I used to write on MySpace all these blogs, and that's truthfully where my following actually came from. And then, he also said, the feminine in you always take care of you. You got to go into nature, which is always pan shit. And so much shit that I forgot he said that all came true. You know what I'm saying? All came true. So that writing, when I look back at the book, I go, okay. I knew that there was something spiritual in it because he said that that would lead to the true form of, the end game, this writing. So that's why I never gave up on the writing and knew I had to at least do something. So I think it's going to be something. I think it's going to be something. Because I don't get none of that. I didn't get fancy. I made it for our people. You know what I'm saying? I actually made it for anybody to understand from a melanin perspective. You know what I'm saying? So because it's something you got to sell, so you got to make it for your people. It's a different thing. But I crafted it where if you advance, you're going to get something out of it, and you've never heard about it before, you're still going to get something out of it. So I think it's going to be something.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Yeah, so once again, we want to thank Brother Panic for coming on the show, Underground Railroad Radio. This is your host, Brother Rich. And on that note, we signing out, family. Peace.
Peace.